Hey guys, Alex here, and recently I asked you guys to vote on a DVD that I would watch and review, and these DVDs were based upon the DVDs that I haven't opened yet, and they were just sitting on my shelf. So I asked you guys, just to vote and see which one I would do next. And the DVDs that were voted upon the most were Ironclad, Coriolanus, The Assassination of Jesse James. I opened this but haven't watched it yet. And Cromwell. Let's see. Cromwell, this one got 3 votes. The Assassination of Jesse James got 11 votes. Coriolanus got 3 votes, and Ironclad got 16 votes. So based upon those numbers, I'm going to announce who won this. And the winner, guys, with 16 votes is Ironclad. So, you know what that means, guys? We're going to do a movie review on Ironclad. But before I do that, I'm going to do a little unboxing. Before I do that, I want to talk a little bit about the history. I don't know much about medieval times. Like, I have like 200 books on ancient warfare and ancient history in general. But when it comes to medieval literature, I have maybe like a dozen books, probably less than a dozen. So I had to look online for certain information, pieces of information that I need. But this movie, Ironclad, is set during the Barren Wars, during the reign of King John. King John, he succeeded after Richard the Lionheart, and King John actually gets a very bad reputation, like especially in movies, like in Robin Hood, like The Adventures of Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves, and then the Robin Hood starring starring Russell Crowe. He gets pretty bad rep. He was also the bad guy in Ivanhoe, I believe. But anyways, King John, he signed the Magna Carta, and he was pressured to by the barons of England. They basically said, "Hey, you're going to sign this document," and this document basically limited the powers of the king. And this was kind of unheard of, to throw this document on a king. And basically it said that, the king can't do whatever he wants. He was restrained in power by the law of the land. So they forced him to sign this, but eventually King John decided not to honor it. So he went to war with the barons, and this led to the Barren Wars. And during the Barren Wars, the siege of Rochester took place. And this is what this movie is focused on. It's focused on the siege of Rochester, and Paul Giamatti, he plays King John, which is kind of interesting. He's a pretty good actor, actually. He doesn't look very, like threatening, but we'll see. When I watch this movie, we'll see how he's portrayed. What I do like about this, it has 2 actors that I really admire, Brian Cox and James Purefoy. James Purefoy played Mark Antony in the Rome series. He was in a lot of other movies too. And Brian Cox, he's typically always a bad guy. He was in Troy. He played King Agamemnon. While I was getting in the mood for opening this box, I actually was listening to the soundtrack online for the Ironclad movie. It's actually a pretty good soundtrack, very, very rousing. So let's try to pop this baby open. Let's see. Sometimes when the plastic's nice and tight like this, you can just get your finger and jab into it. There you go, see that? Skills, baby. So, the plastic will be taken off quite easily. When I say quite easily, I meant with some difficulty. Oh crap, there you go. Okay, I'm totally bending this bad boy. What the heck? Okay, don't open a DVD like that. I was in a rush to get this open. It's still fine though. See, it's still in there. Alright, so here's the infamous tape here. Most DVD companies, they don't put this tape on top anymore. They've done away with that. But since this one still has it, I will have to use my skills to get this tape off. So I'm going to cause a little breach here in the tape on one side. Kind of flip it open on one side too, like this. And just kind of peel it back. There you go, boom! Didn't have to cut it, or use scissors. I just did it like that. So here is the DVD. Hold on. Ah, yeah. Hey guys, I just finished watching this 2-hour movie, Ironclad, the movie that you guys voted for me to watch and review. And I will talk about the movie itself as a movie, and then I'll talk about some of the historical inaccuracies behind the movie. So let's see, the movie, just the movie itself, starts off with King John. He's basically going through the countryside, torturing and executing everybody who made him sign the Magna Carta, which basically limited his powers as a king. And to the king, this was a huge humiliation. So this is what he's doing. He's a very, very tyrannical king with a lot of anger management problems, as portrayed in this movie. I gotta say, the actor, Paul Giamatti, he did a really good job of making this king a very unlikable person, like with very few redeeming qualities. But, so it starts off, he's torturing all these people, and this is, like, in one town, he comes across this abbot who happens to be traveling with 3 Templars, and James Purefoy is one of those Templars. His name is, what is his name? Hold on. It is Thomas Marshall, sorry. Had a brain fart. But yeah, so this Marshall comes out when he sees the abbot getting tortured by King John, and he comes out with like 3 Templars, with himself including, and King John's surrounded by 1,000 Danish mercenaries. So he fights off all these mercenaries, and he's able to recover the body of his friend, the abbot. So as he takes him out into the countryside, the abbot dies, and then the Templar breaks his vow of silence, and he talks about how he is going to do everything in his power to bring down this tyrant of a king, King John. So that takes us to the Archbishop, who's been excommunicated by the Pope for writing up the Magna Carta. And that's where we meet the Brian Cox, who plays, oh my gosh, the Baron William de Albany. So they come up with this grand plan that they have to buy enough time so they can negotiate with Prince Louis, who is a French prince, and they want this guy to help them out against this tyrant of a king of theirs, King John. So in order to do this, they come up with this grand strategy that they are going to take command of Rochester Castle, which is basically this little castle, but it has a lot of strategic value, because it's from that point that the king's able to send all the supplies all around England. And so that's their plan: take this castle and buy enough time. Hopefully the French will help them out. So that's basically where our movie is focused on, is this whole conflict surrounding the siege of Rochester. For about 15 or so minutes, you see Brian Cox and James Purefoy going around the countryside recruiting whoever they can to help them in their cause. In the end, they're only able to recruit about 11 soldiers or something around that number, because by the time the Danish mercenaries come, there's about 1,000 Danish mercenaries, and then defending Rochester is about 20 of these guys. So it's pretty cool if you like medieval warfare, because this whole movie is basically one giant battle, this whole siege of Rochester. And the Danes try, I would say, several times to take this castle. Their first attempt is a direct assault over the walls, which fails miserably. Their second attempt, they try to build a siege tower. They build it, but they find out that the rebels have their own little engine inside, which burns this siege tower to the ground. It's kind of funny at that moment, because you see King John cursing when his tower burns. It's kind of like watching a kid play a video game when he's really mad, because he's like, "Oh, you bleep bleep bleep, I can't believe you did this to me, blah blah blah." So after that second direct assault fails, they try to starve the rebels out. That's when what's his face? Thomas Marshall, the Templar, he goes out and steals food. He steals food from the king himself. So the king's very angered by this, and that's when he tells his Danish captain, "Hey, you better take this castle, or else, I'll send the Pope to take your, I'll send the Pope to Christianize your lands." And I'll talk more about that later on in the historical part of this video. But yeah, he threatens the Danish captain to take more direct, action. So on their third attempt at a direct assault, they try more of a surprise approach. They approach the walls quietly, And this time they succeed because the rebels, they are sleeping, they don't see these Danish dudes coming, so they wake up, all these Danes are storming the walls, and they're able to finally take the walls, but at that point the rebels go inside the keep, and from there there's like a whole new siege going on. And eventually the Danes have to bring in these English siege engineers. They undermine the castle, which basically brings down a part of the wall by setting pigs on fire, because it just burns everything, and it makes the foundation unstable. So after that happens, you think the battle's over. That's when the French come to save the day. Prince Louis comes in, and he scares this Danish army away, and King John runs away too. And then you find out in the epilogue that King John dies a year later. So that's basically what the movie is. It ends with a happy ending for the rebels. And as a movie itself, it's pretty darn good. Like, if you like medieval warfare, then this movie definitely delivers on that promise of showing lots of action and medieval mayhem. All the costumes in this movie are amazing. Like, the costume worn by King John is pretty cool. It's very regal, while at the same time it looks, you know, functional for battle. So I really like the costuming in this movie. And so definitely recommend this movie for people who like action or medieval warfare. Now, if you don't like it, you know, that kind of stuff, then you might want to avoid this kind of movie. Now, let's talk about this movie from a historical standpoint. From a historical standpoint, this movie basically gets all the facts wrong, because in the actual siege of Rochester, King John's actually victorious. He's able to starve the rebels out, and the French don't come till much, much later on. Also, this main character, played by James Purefoy, he plays Thomas... Oh my gosh, I can't forget his name. Oh, Thomas Marshall. Yeah, Thomas Marshall. He's a Knights Templar. There's like no actual historical basis in there being a Thomas Marshall defending this castle. So I think he was just a fictional character thrown in there, because he's a very strong character, and being a Templar, that already adds a lot of badass points to you, because the Templar are, you know, they have a bad rep for being really ruthless and vicious and whatnot. So that kind of adds to the strong brooding character of James Purefoy in this movie. Another historical discrepancy is the Danish mercenary army, because according to King John in this movie, these guys are pagans, and the reason why these Danish people are fighting for King John is that King John promises them that the Pope will not try to Christianize Denmark, which is kind of strange, because King Canute, about 100 or so years before this battle, he already made Denmark a Christian nation. So I don't know why they made, you know, Denmark pagans in this movie, because they're already officially Christianized. So I didn't really quite get that aspect. So I'd say from a historical standpoint, this movie gets a lot of the facts wrong, but it is a movie, so you gotta, you know, judge this movie as a movie. And, you know, not many movies can, you know, hold a candle to the actual historical facts. I mean, true, they could have shown King John victorious, but I guess from their standpoint, as a movie maker, you know, is it really exciting to show King John winning a siege by starvation? I know that will anger a lot of people, because I love history. I hate it when history is, you know, distorted for whatever reason. But I also like movies, and as a movie, I liked this. But from a historical standpoint, you know, they did change history. King John actually won this battle, and also, one of the historical facts they did get right is that King John did die during this war. He died of, I don't know what it was, just dysentery. I read a lot of different causes, you know, possible causes for his death. I did not like the camera techniques in this movie, because in this movie they're doing the whole shaky camera thing like this. Like, I don't know why they do that, because when they do that, they actually scare away a lot of moviegoers from watching this kind of movie, because I myself, I get motion sick, and I was getting kind of dizzy watching some of the action scenes. I mean, let me ask you guys a question. Do you like my vlogs when I'm talking like this, or how about when I'm talking like this? Hey guys, I'm doing a vlog. Do you guys like what I'm doing with the camera? No, that's kind of annoying, guys. I don't know why they keep doing that. But yeah, as a movie, definitely good. As a historical, you know, fact-based movie, it's not a historical, fact-based movie. It's more entertainment than history. But yeah, I want to thank you guys for recommending this movie for me to watch. I really enjoyed it. And post your thoughts about this movie in the comment section. I'll try to respond. And I'll see you guys later.